Hey guys, and welcome to a bonus Fuck Around and Find Out podcast for Monday. We have WhiteBeard on today. He's a well-known member of the community. He has a YouTube channel that he's getting off the ground, and he has a bunch of people lined up to be on that. It's going to be fantastic. WhiteBeard has his own Discord where you can get a hold of him, and he's also a great person to talk to. Very knowledgeable individual. Hey, WhiteBeard, welcome to the Fuck Around and Find Out podcast.
Well, yeah, I'm here to fuck around and find out. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
I wanted to make sure that we didn't get too much talking out of the way in the green room and then don't have nothing to talk about.
It happens all the fucking time. All the time. We'll find something to talk about.
There's plenty to talk about.
Midget porn, who cares? I don't care. I'll talk about it.
Oh, my favorite, man.
Yeah.
Now you're just teasing me.
How did you get started in mycology?
Oh, man. That's, I just
It's
got
like,
out of the
personal.
army.
I don't talk about that kind of stuff.
Don't even start that shit. When the guy, like, God bless him, when he freaking said that, it was just total crickets after that.
Wait, you mean someone actually told you that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's kind of odd.
They come on to a FAFO podcast, right? And we were like, I asked the same question. Like, I asked the same everybody, how long have you been doing this, and what got you started in mycology? And the same, just openers, just because everybody kind of wants a little background on who they're talking about, right?
Sure.
And the guy immediately goes, "That's personal information," and that's fucking it. Like, zero talk after that. And then being Deadpool, like, I guess basically digitally lock eyes. We're like, well, this is gonna be a fucking nightmare.
Was the rest of the podcast like that?
Oh, we rescued it by
Yeah.
just trying to coax stuff out of the guy. But it was like, why would you want to come on to like worldwide podcast? We're not the biggest podcast in the entire world,
but it's accessible from anywhere. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, we've got a very strong listener base in Thailand and India and China and the United States and and a bunch in the UK and Europe.
Wait, are you pulling my leg, or are you being serious?
No,
Thailand, India, and China are where some of your listeners are from. That's very interesting. I would have never guessed that.
We're getting 25,000 or so listeners per week. So, and a lot of them are coming from like India, China, Thailand, and then the rest of them from Europe. And then but about 65-70% of them are from America. And I'm like, so you're going to come on here and introduce yourself to the world as the guy who won't talk about what you came to talk about. But we ended up rescuing it. But overall, I don't think the guy was really prepared to. He was really excited to come on, and then just like the microphone, I don't know.
This is why I don't let Farrell pick the interviewers.
He sounded really interesting on paper.
All right, let's get back to WhiteBeard. He said, when you got out of the army.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, sidetrack. Squirrel. So I had just gotten out of the army. It was, it's so long ago because I'm an older cat that it was in the late 90s. I don't want to give a particular year and then conflict it later because whatever reason, but it was in the late 90s, somewhere around 98. And I came back home, and my dad was living in a little neighborhood that had a big field behind it. And there was a couple houses that were out in those fields. And, they were kind of like isolated from the neighborhood, from the suburbs. And, I mean, not by a lot, it wasn't partly like grouped in with the neighborhood we lived in. And there was this, she was older than me. I was early 20s. She was probably early 30s. And, she'd asked me to help her do something one time, like move some stuff for her.
Is this about to turn into a porn?
Awesome.
I wish.
I'm intrigued. Keep going.
yeah, so she asked me to help her move some stuff, and I helped her out and stuff, and I saw her greenhouse, and I wanted to take a look because, strangely enough, I happen to really like flowers. I know as weird as that sounds, but I'm really big into like orchids. I love orchids, and
I have a whole bunch of them right here behind me. Like we
really?
grow a whole. Yeah, we have like this. I have this little lattice thing right behind me that has 8 levels on it, and maybe 40 plants of different types, like from coffee plants to orchids to cannibal, carnivorous plants, all sorts of stuff. It's
You got
very
Venus fly
cool.
traps?
Not Venus fly traps, pitcher plants.
Pitcher plants. Nice.
Yeah, so I like the orchids and Kala lilies. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, or Kala or Kala.
Canna lilies, yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to see what she had in there, and I'll be damned, there was mushrooms in there. And I told her, "Are those what I think they are?" And she says, "I don't know. What do you think they are?" And we played the whole, do you know what you're looking at? I think I know what I'm looking at game. And so, finally she told me, yeah, that's exactly what you think it is. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Like we used to go a couple days after it rained out to the cow pasture and pull them, And she says, well, those are different kinds, but similar. You can't do that with those. And oh, okay. And she gave me a few, and I went home and had a great time. And so, of course, I came back for more, and so she noticed that I was taking an interest in it and wanted to know if I wanted to learn about it. And I said, sure. And she says, well, you came at the right time because here where we live in South Texas, it's so ridiculously hot, like 8 months out of the year, that there's only a couple times a year that you can do that kind of stuff as far as in an outdoor type of scene, which I guess,
oh yeah,
I don't know if that's technically indoor or outdoor because it's in a greenhouse, but
your greenhouse will get so hot sometimes. Yeah,
yeah,
greenhouse
exactly.
will get so hot it'll cook things.
So it was pretty drastically different than the kind of things that we're doing today as far as indoor grows go, but it worked. The success rate was dismal in comparison, but she did put some out, and she was just this hippie chick, man. She was really cool. You know, she always was barefoot all the time. You never saw her in anything but sundresses, and just the whole free love kind of stuff.
Is this where the part starts?
That's the what?
Yeah, it sounds like this sounds like
where the part starts.
And then one night she took me and turned me into a man.
I was a man a long time before that, but yeah. No, we didn't do anything like that. She I don't know. It wasn't that she wasn't attractive, or maybe she didn't find me attractive. I don't know. There just wasn't a romantic type of thing. Maybe I just was too oblivious and didn't catch the signals, or I don't know. But we did spend quite a bit of time together, and I would help her out with stuff around the house. She didn't have an old man, so and she lived by herself, so it's not like she lived with her dad or have a guy around to do stuff like that. So I was just kind of her quote unquote guy, not sexually, just help her out and
her manservant.
Yeah, kind of, but she would like cook me dinners and stuff like that because I didn't have an old lady.
Right.
And so she kind of did the girl thing, I did the guy thing, and we just hung out and tripped.
Cool.
Spent a lot of time tripping on mushrooms.
That's the kind of chick I want to find. Someone that knows how to grow mushrooms. Come on, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that's probably the better story than we've had on here in a long time. Most people,
right?
I got bored and I went on Reddit. It's like,
what kind of grows were you doing back then? I mean, the species. I mean,
they're
doing bags or
no, not bags. No, she was growing in a greenhouse in like the plant. I don't know what they're called. They look like, I would call them planter troughs.
Okay.
Yeah,
for a lack of better descriptor.
The black little trays.
Yeah, they're like a elongated rectangle. and you normally put dirt in them or soil, and then
they're called window boxes.
Oh, there you go. That's what they're called.
Yeah,
those. She would grow in those, and it was kind of cool. She would do spore prints because, like I said, you could only do it twice a year, in the spring and the fall, and you had a very tight window for when the weather was not so severe that you could actually do something.
Right.
And she would do she would do spore prints, but she would do them on paper. Like, I didn't learn about doing them on foil until many years later. And she just had them on paper, and she'd fold them up and stick them in an envelope and write on it, and then she'd pull them out next season and scrape them off and just do her deal. She used like a nutritional substrate that had poo in it, and she had, well, it wasn't poo. It was what do you call it when you put poo and leaves and all that shit together and you let it break down? Compost.
Humus.
There you go. Yeah. So she used
compost.
she used compost, and like I said, her success rate was pretty low. Like
she's mimicking nature. She's not forcing anything to grow at that point. She's just she's providing a decent habitat and scraping spores over the top of it and kind of hoping.
Exactly.
It's magic at that point.
So, sometimes there'd be nothing. Sometimes there would be really bad contamination. Sometimes you'd get something, but it wouldn't, you'd see the mycelial structure growing over the top of the substrate, but it wouldn't do anything beyond that. Mm-hmm. It would just kind of like make a layer across the top. Instead of seeing hyphal knots and primordia and stuff like that, it would just be like a webbed coating over the top that did nothing. But she would have success. There'd be some, and some of those window boxes, right? Some of those window boxes would produce, and
that's the most low tech as you could possibly get.
Well, I don't think that there was any real techs out back then. Late 90s.
It works. But it works. So that's amazing that she got it to work. I mean,
well, like I said, it was a very low success rate.
but still, any success. I mean, she's literally just out competing with everything wild out there in a freaking greenhouse and just scraping ass spores across the top of stuff, maybe working them in a little bit, watered it, and covering up and hoping.
Exactly.
It's working. It's working. So, it's a good something to build on. That's a pretty strong base to start with. If that was your first, dealing with actives.
Yeah, that's how I learned. That's actually how I learned. Was she taught me, and I did this with her for about 2 years. So I had either 3 or 4 good seasons of doing this, and I didn't have any better results than she did. My results were pretty abysmal as well. But I did get results, like it did happen. It just was a lot of failure. And we were okay with that, because it was better than nothing. And back then, I don't know that there was cultivation like we know it today.
No, not at all. It was about then where people were still using the lye and the straw hay bales and all that crap, where you super alkali the freaking shit out of your hay bales and wrap them up in a bag and inoculate them and then just fucking pray. That's how I got introduced to that shit, and it was a freaking mess.
It sounds like it.
Oh man, it was a mess. I mean, it worked. When it worked, it worked. But it was
exactly when it worked, it worked.
It was a freaking mess.
Late 90s, there were all kind of techs out late 90s.
On what internet, dude? Huh? On what internet? Like dial-up? Like GeoCities? Like, where are you fucking going?
Internet relay chat? You don't remember?
IRC?
I was not cool enough to be on IRC.
Oh, dude, that's where I learned all this shit. Was I got my first taste was I think I was downloading some kind of between porn downloads. I went ahead and downloaded It was some kind of book. What is it? Anarchist
Dude,
book
back in that day, the porn downloads were where you had to watch the image slowly appear line by line.
Oh, nipple!
Oh, shit.
Right?
I just hope it's like not like some 75-year-old lady.
Right? Yeah. But then I downloaded that book, and it had and then all kinds of shit that came with it. And the Sportopia? Not Sportopia. It was
That was me.
Huh? That's you.
That was me. That was me.
I'm trying to think. I mean, Shroomery was around back then, but it was one of those.
I don't think Shroomery was around back
99?
then.
No. Yeah, 99.
Because that's when I started my grows, was it back in 99, because I did it to take with me to Vegas for the Millennium. So that was my.
It was just like had this overhead hoist in the freaking shop, and we lower hay bales into 55-gallon drum or bigger drums that had a shitload of lye, like potash and lye water in it, but bring it up to where it was like pretty hot, and then you'd lower it in there and let it cool off overnight. Then you'd pull it out and wrap it up. It was alkali because so you're trying to kill off everything that was in the hay bale except for what you were going to put in there, and inoculating everything was. So
how did you inoculate though?
So you had back then it was like the most proto grain spawn you can imagine. It was all right. You're going to boil these grains, and then you're going to take your gloves and you're going to bake them in the oven, and then you're going to take your gloves out. So your gloves are sterile now, and then you're going to you pick up your jar full of boiled grain, and you're going to pour the water out of it, and then put the lid on loosely and flip it upside down, and then you're going to take your grain and you're going to go in like oven tech it, or you'd go into some room and then scrape your spores off into the grain, and then once the grain was colonized, which 50% of the time it wasn't, it would just get contaminated, and then you take your grain and you would just what we'd do is we'd take a a bulb planter, like you've seen the bulb planters, right? It takes it punches a hole in the ground. We take a bulb planter and punch holes in the hay bale, and then dump in some grain, and then put the little hockey puck of freaking like hay back over the top of it, and wrap the whole thing in plastic, and you didn't look at it or stare at it, bad juju, for quite a while, couple weeks. And then you would just be like, all right, you're going to peek at it and open a package. And if the whole hay bale was white, then you would open the whole hay bale up and fruit the whole fucking thing at once. And like you're talking about a hay bale, like a 70-pound bale. Hey,
like an entire bale?
Yeah, an entire.
Oh, wow.
Bale. So when it worked, you're talking about.
It really worked. Yeah.
Yeah. You get 45, 50 pounds of mushrooms for over a week off of it. When it didn't work, it turned into this blackish gray sludge.
It smelled like death.
Death, like fucking dead raccoon. Yeah, it was bad. But when it worked, like I'd say probably 1 out of 10, it would work. But hey, that was enough to keep you going, because that 1 out of 10 bales of hay back then were like $3 or $4, $3.50, I think, $4. Nowadays they're fucking $30 right now because of hay shortage. But back then it was $3.50, $4, and so you'd spend your paper out money or whatever and buy 10 bales of hay, and then just don't worry about the hay on the front. I'll move it to the backyard, Bob. Don't worry about it. I'm building a fort. And but when the 1 bale of hay really went off, like you get 35, 40 pounds of freaking 50 pounds of mushrooms off of it over a period of a couple of weeks. You just have to keep it damp. You just harvest all the mushrooms and then wet it down with the garden hose and wrap it back up, and then let it sit for a couple of days, then unwrap it again. But it was very archaic and old. It worked, and I'd like to try it again with modern techniques.
Sure.
Just because it was spectacular. Because you'd stand the hay bale up like against a wall, or against like put up a couple of boards underneath it so it was at an angle, so you'd fruit the bottom, the sides, all of it, right? Except for the part that was literally physically touching the ground. And so the whole thing, all 6 sides of the hay bale. I bet
you that was fucking amazing to look at. Could you imagine doing that nowadays with the kind of genetics that we have now?
Oh yeah, mine were just like random shit, like not even golden teachers, just some random cow patty freaking mushrooms. But yeah, man, it'll be so fucking cool with like penis envy or something like that, where you have
sounds like our next grow.
Fuck, that's gonna be cool. Wait till we buy the farm. Once we get the farm, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a whole big fucking hay bale grow.
See, and I knew I was right, by the way. Shroomery, they started that site in 1997.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I would have guessed it was around like 2003 or so.
No, because I know when I started because of Vegas and the Millennium, but I knew there was there, but 97.
We did pillowcases too, pillowcases full of hay, and you just poke holes in the pillowcases to fruit. But, man, that was archaic ass shit back in the day. But hay worked great. Hay worked really well. I've done diaper genie grows. They work good too.
They did a laundry basket with the hay, right? They still do that now.
Yeah, they still do that now. It works good.
They make the little lasagna with the fucking shit.
Yep.
Oh, how they layer it.
Yeah.
Are you talking about lasagna? Yeah, I've seen that.
I've done an entire hay bale full of pink oysters. That was fucking cool. And by God, like they turned that hay bale from being this big normal size hay bale. After like 2 flushes, that hay bale, you can just pick it up with one hand. Like it went from like a 70-pound hay bale to being like 14 pounds, and being about a tenth of the size. Like they really went after it. And then that thing was like indestructible. Like you could literally run over it with your truck and park on top of it because it was like a block of solid mycelium at that point. It wouldn't rehydrate, and nothing would eat it. None of the fucking farm animals ate it. And you could use it as a parking block. We used it as a parking block at the boat ramp for years. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So, you're talking about this, something interesting that I don't understand why, but I have never been able to take. No, when I say a spent cake, I don't mean it's gone to the point where it refuses to do anything anymore. But to me, a spent cake is, I've gotten 2-3 good flushes out of it, and my next ones are up, ready to take their place. Because I work in a very limited space,
right?
So I'm really, one thing I'm really good about is planning for the cycle and doing a bunch of prep work so that when
you got your
the minute I'm done with that third flush, the next one's ready to fruit to take its place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just did that last night.
Right on. Well, so when I say spent cake, that's what I'm talking about. I can't get a spent cake to fucking do anything in my flower bed where. Well, it's not my flower bed. It's at my buddy's house.
Is it in the shade? Is that the shade?
Yeah, it's in the shade. And I only do it during the spring and the fall because I know the inclement weather, it's going to be an issue. But my buddy, I said mine, but it's my buddy's. He's got a flower bed, like a raised bed,
right?
That we grow peppers in. And we grow habaneros, and we grow chile pepins and jalapenos and those Thai chilies. Yeah, you like the pepins? Yeah, those are my favorite.
My favorite pepper, hands down.
And so I heard that, mycelium and plants like that work well together, kind of symbiotic. So I've been digging up around the pepper plants because, you got to space them. And I'll fucking bury the cakes. And nothing ever happens. Nothing. It never colonizes anything.
You try breaking them up?
Nah, don't worry about that. They'll break up worms and stuff, lead them. But what kind of soil's in there? Is it like a potting mix soil, or is it like ground soil?
Yeah, it's a potting mix soil.
You got to be careful with some of those because, like, I know that if you get like the more expensive Miracle-Gro stuff, if you look on the back of it, a lot of it already is inoculated with trick. Because trick is the stuff that actually makes the symbiotic relationships with the plants. The psilocybin, not so much. So psilocybin mushrooms like to work with grasses real well. And so
the mycorrhizal Is what
is
what you're looking for.
Yeah, the word mycorrhizal. There you go. Yeah, the mycorrhizal relationships with the psilocybin mushrooms are more towards grasses, and whereas like the trick is a fucking dirty whore. It'll colonize everything. They use it for peas. They use it for trees. They use it for all sorts of different plants, indoor plants, stuff like that. So, yeah, if you might be just being out competed by the trick, which is not a big deal. It's still great food for the plants. But if you were to bury that in the grass, I think you'll see a lot more happen. I found that when I planted it, when I take my spent cakes and just put them in a grassy area and just literally square up a piece of sod, take it up, drop the cake, put the sod back on top of it, the mushrooms grow up to the sod.
Really?
And I'm not far from you. So, like, you know where I'm at, and I know roughly where you're at. So I'm in South Texas as well. And, yeah, so it works for me. It should work for you.
Yeah,
I know that it works. It works a lot better in the dead ass of fucking winter, because our winters are like the summers up north. So
that's so funny that you mentioned that, because people don't believe me. Like, people who aren't from here, and they're talking to me, and we talk about winter and all that, and I tell them, and they're like, "Well, what's the weather like right now?" And it's like Christmas Day, and I'm like, "Well, it's good beach weather." And they're like,
yeah, it's like 71 degrees.
Like, yeah, right. And I'm like, no, I literally live like a mile and a half from the fucking beach, and it's nice right now. Like, we've actually had Thanksgiving dinner on the beach before, because
we've got New Year's Day
nice
on the beach because it's in the 70s. It's nice.
Yeah. Exactly. Now the water's a little cold.
Oh yeah, but
cold
the water's cold, but it brings in the fishes. They're usually way out there.
It does.
But
that's so funny, man.
So, but I try to explain to people, like, oh man, it's negative 10 degrees and blowing and snowing up here, and I'm like, you keep that dirty shit up there with you. I don't mind my 2.5 weeks of cold every year, but other than that, it's average yearly temperatures like 70 degrees. So it's fine. I like growing citrus. Pretty cool.
I stayed a couple years up in Washington State. This was like 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. I went to go help my mom a little bit. That's where she's from, and she's on the east side of the mountains, not the Seattle side, like out by Spokane in that area. Yeah. And wouldn't you know it, man? Being a South Texas boy, I go up there, and the first winter I'm there, they have the worst blizzard in 80 years that they've had.
That was
so
your luck.
Yeah, and I'd never lived up north, so this is what I'm used to, and I was just so blown away by all the snow and to the point where people can't drive, and you got to walk everywhere.
I call that Tuesday.
I fucking hated it so much.
My winter clothing is a heavier cotton shirt and Crocs without the holes in them, and that's I still keep the same shorts. It's shorts, a heavier cotton shirt, and the Crocs without the holes in them. That's winter wear here.
That's winter here, yeah. Exactly. I might put on a long sleeve shirt, but I still got the shorts on.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go and eat outside, so where the sun's gonna set, go have some drinks on a patio somewhere, I'll wear a long sleeve shirt because it might get a little chilly. It might hit the mid 60s.
Yeah. I'm in shorts and a tank top right now, and it's 30 degrees, so I don't care.
You're inside, fucker. You're not out there fighting the goddamn caribou for your fucking breakfast.
I just went out there. I loaded up the bar with my new styrofoam for insulation in these same tank tops.
Did you just say
shorts?
Borrow? Did you say borrow? Oh, I thought you said borrow. I was like, is that what you fucking weirdos up there call a wheelbarrow?
Now I loaded up a barn with styrofoam, these huge blocks from
that's nice.
From Tractor Supply.
That's great. Yeah, so that you're the reason that we can't have nice things like a atmosphere. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So like I made friends up there during that first year I was there, and they were giving me a real hard time because it wasn't even quite winter yet, like real winter, and it was getting down into the 60s during the day, and then at night it would be like in the low 50s. And here I am, I'm wearing like a coat.
Yeah.
Literally a coat, like not a like a blue jean jacket or something. I'm wearing a coat, and all my friends are making fun of me and all that stuff, teasing me I'm such a wuss when it comes to the cold, and I am, and by all means, all that's true. But it was funny to me because then came summertime up there, and it's hitting like 88, 89, and these guys are out here talking like, "Oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna die," and I'm
like, Jesus, it's not even an air
now,
conditioner.
Man?
Yeah, that's 80 degrees. Fuck. That's
yeah,
not
who's
even
the wuss now, man? Like,
shady. That's working outside weather.
Exactly.
That's nice weather. That's springtime gardening.
It was just so funny. It was more like, now the shoe's on the other foot, fuckers.
What is your favorite cultivar mushroom to grow?
Oh, we all know that one.
Tell me, what is it?
No, you.
Mac. It's Mac 391.
Yeah, you do know.
I told you.
No, actually, you're close. That is my favorite. That is my favorite producer. My favorite for personal use is actually Jack Frost.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I finally got a hold of that one. I think it was beginning of last year, maybe. I feel like it was like January, February last year. And it doesn't have anything to do with how pretty it is, which it is very pretty.
It's very nice.
Especially, when the cap furls up and the gills are showing all blue, and it's an albino already, so it's that white and blue icy looking kind of look. But it was more so the actual experience itself. It wasn't quite as kick you in your face on the ramp up as 391 is. That I think honestly I think all the DC Macs are the same. I think they're just different reiterations of that Melmac. Like I think OG and 391, 529, 95. I think they're all from the same starter culture. I think they're just different isolations of that same cultigen.
That's why they have different numbers, is because that's the isolation number.
I think the numbers are supposed to be in relation to a particular fruit weight.
Yeah, it's the weight of the fruit that they took that clone sample from. That's all that is.
That's the stupidest numbering fucking naming system I've ever heard.
Yeah, dude, can you imagine someone doing 391 transfers? Whatever happened to 0 to...
No, but like I figure it would, like, well, okay, I fucking do that shit when I'm trying to figure out something new. I'll do 50 transfers in a night. It's not that big a deal. But like it's just like I figured it would be like, oh, hey, this is the 390 something, try. We start off with like 25 plates, because it's not uncommon for me to swab 29 plates with a new thing to look what I'm pheno hunting, right?
Right.
So I figured it would just be like, oh, this was strain 391 that we liked, or this is strain 91 that we liked, that we grew out and we really liked. I figured it was like.
I feel that started. Now I could definitely be wrong with this, right? But I feel like it started when Chris and DC Mac were doing their thing together. I can't remember what their group was called, the Culture or something like that. Do you guys remember that? Before it was before Limitless, when it was Ape King Chris and DC Mac, they were partnered together doing their stuff, because like all the Ape 412 and all, I think all those numbers are also in a similar fashion with the DC Max, where that number represents the weight of the fruit that was taken
I've always kept a really small circle, so I'm don't really know all of these people that much. I kind of keep to myself, and I've taught a lot of people, but I teach them usually in person or like one-on-one. I don't really go to these big groups. Like I'm in I think only like 5 servers. I think that's the most I've ever been in. Is it?
Oh,
I don't.
okay.
Yeah, I always keep really kind of quiet because of like what I do for a living. They would not appreciate this podcast.
Sure, I get that. Well, in all fairness, I was pretty much solo for decades. I didn't know about this community until I didn't know. I've been on Discord for years, right? I use it to play video games. I use it for online Dungeons and Dragons.
Hell yeah.
I've used it for a while, but I had no idea at all that there was a Discord community toward mushrooms. I completely ignorant to it. And I was very against being on social media. Like, I didn't have an Instagram account. I didn't have a Reddit account. I had a Facebook, but I didn't really use it like Facebook. I only used it because like certain family members wanted to see pictures of my kid growing up and stuff like that. And since we live far apart,
my wife forces me to have a Facebook. I don't ever post on it. I think I posted one thing in 2022.
So I was I wouldn't say anti social media, but I wasn't interested in it. It wasn't for me. But I was watching a YouTube video. I don't know if you're familiar with this particular YouTuber. His name is Munchausen.
We had him on. We had him on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we just had him on last week.
Okay, so I was watching one of his videos, and it was like an instructional thing, and I wasn't really learning anything from it because what he was teaching in that particular video, at least, was pretty basic.
They're basic videos for basic,
right.
New guys.
Sure, exactly. It's catering toward the beginners, and I get all that. I'm not trying to knock his stuff at all. I'm just saying it was a basic video, and I wasn't really learning anything, but it was just something to have on in the background. You know what I mean?
Right.
One of those things. It was mushroom related. I was just letting it run. And he said something in the video about, I don't remember what it was. It was something that caught me off guard. So I went to hit that about section in the video, like underneath the video.
Right.
And I'll be damned if he didn't have a Discord link in there. And I was like, holy shit, this guy's got Discord and it has something to do with mushrooms. So I joined the Discord, and I think that was in the what?
Floodgates that were open.
Yeah, floodgates were open. I joined the Discord. I think that was at the end of 2021, like in December or something like that. And instantly I met mycology in there, and he was brand new, and we were kind of bullshitting a little bit. Me and mycology's always gotten along really well. He's a good dude. It's kind of hard to not be friends with that guy. And so we were bullshitting, and he tells me, "Hey, join this now." And I was like, "All right, cool." And it was Limitless opening a server, and I had no idea who Limitless was, or who DC Mac was, or Mr. Black, or I didn't know any of these guys. And I just kind of got, and when we joined, we were like one of the very first ones, like within the first 20-something members. And if you remember, that server had like over 1,000 members or some shit. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But
was got really big.
Yeah. And so I went from doing things, the old way of reading text on Shroomery and shit like that, not really having anybody to talk to in that fashion, where people are live and online and talking to you in the moment kind of thing. It would always be, you'd have to post something on one of the Shroomery message boards and wait, and if anyone will ever respond to you kind of thing.
And not just be a fucking derogatory comment.
And no kidding.
Yes. Shroomery became
reach the fucking forum, fucking asshole.
Yeah. So everybody just patting each other on the back.
Yeah. It's kind of a big circle jerk or go get fuck scrub. There wasn't a whole lot of intermediate, somewhere in the middle. But so I went from shroomery, and I had quit looking at shroomery shit at least a decade ago, just because, well, like you said, it's basically AIDS. So I was already at the point where I was having successful grows and didn't really need any more instructional at that point. So I just, why even go there anymore? But so I went from nothing for a long time to all of a sudden I just got sucked into the inner circle of the community as we know it today. Geeky's telling me, dude, you're an old head in this, dude. You've been at it for a long time. You got a lot of knowledge. You need to do something with that. And I'm like, all right, well, like what? He says, well, for one, you got to make you an icon, something that will be recognized. He says, like, I have my ghost. I made my ghost. You need to make something. I thought about it and I said, all right, and I molded over a little bit, and then I made the little icon I got now, my logo. Well, I didn't make the logo. I just made the icon, the little silhouette with the raised eyebrow. And then he's he keeps coach. It was weird because he was brand new, but he knew so much more than me. Not as far as the mic game goes, but as far as being part of the community and intermingling, and he'd already made all these friends and everything that he was introducing me to, and just knowing him, it got me like a fucking front row seat with Mr. Black and DC Mac. Like, they would talk to me, and that blew my fucking mind, dude. Like, you guys these.
I have no idea how Geeky did that. I found his ass on Reddit when I brought him to Discord, and
so you met him before I met him?
Oh yeah, I brought him to Discord.
Okay.
I brought him to come to my server, and all of a sudden,
but you found me on Reddit too.
And fucking, it's crazy because then they do their own fucking shit, and then I don't know how he made so many friends so fucking fast. He must have been fucking add everybody that he met, because he was fucking. Now he's got like 1 million fucking friends. I like to keep my circle small.
Friends.
I keep my circle small.
Sure.
Now and I say that now that I have a podcast, but so
yeah, we kind of threw that out the fucking window.
Yeah, so now I just go against the grain,
but it's been really fun. I've enjoyed since you brought me to Discord. It's been nice. I get all of the talking I need to out with all the people. It's a lot of answering the same 5 questions over and over. But,
true,
Brian.
Yeah. No big deal. I don't mind helping people. I like answering questions. I'd rather talk about this than fucking work or anything else. So
true.
A lot more fun.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that, but if I'm in a group of people and they're all talking about work, I have to excuse myself. I can't zone out, man.
Yeah.
It's time for me to go somewhere else, do something else. I don't know, but that ain't it, Chief. Like, work is work. I leave that shit when I fucking leave the job site. I don't want to talk about that shit.
Oh, I'm at work and I'm thinking, like, who are we going to talk about on the podcast? That was so much fun. Let's see if we can get so-and-so on there. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun since we started doing this. Just meeting everybody and getting to know them. And other than just words on a Discord, but actually getting to talk to the people like one-on-one and introducing them to the wider community. It's been a lot of fun.
Now that seems pretty cool. As far as the Discord goes, there is some text interaction in our Discord, but it's a daily where we've got a handful of people in voice. Yeah,
all day.
Yeah. So and that's pretty unique because since 2021, when I found out there was a Discord community for mushrooms, I've had my fingers, my little tendrils in a bunch of them. I've actually helped run a few of them, and nobody ever talks in the voice. Like, it's a rarity.
That's how this shit started. We would get on the voice chats, and they would go for 5 or 6 fucking hours of us just fucking around and talking and bullshitting. And we're like, holy shit. And my wife would listen, and she'd be like, Jesus, you guys are fucking hilarious. You probably need to do a podcast. And we were like, huh. Probably let's see what happens.
Yeah. Challenge accepted.
And then we did the first one, and it was a goddamn disaster. It was off the fucking rails. Like, it was supposed to be about. It was the first one that was on here. Like, no bags. It was supposed to be about bags. And I think it started with, bags are cool, right? Yeah, everybody agrees that bags are cool. Yep. Okay, then. And just fucking random shit from there. Like, it was like 4 minutes about bags, and the rest of it was just random goat bleeding and fucking just our general fuckery. And
it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was just talking about Limitless and you just brought up bags. I've been using bags for a very long time, and I was unaware that anyone else is using bags. Like, I didn't even know that they had filter patched bags. I didn't know that existed until I got in on the Limitless server, and then they were talking about, we run bags and all this. We run Unicorn and all this, and I was like, what the fuck's Unicorn? I've been using anything I could get my hands on, and making my own filters, not a filter patch, but like I would either, take like a hot, I'm trying to remember the name of the tool. It's a what?
Solder gun?
Or the wood burning tool.
It's like a wood burning tool.
Yeah.
And I would just poke holes in the bags for fruit to when it came time to fruit, or sometimes I would make a slit or a hole or something, cover it with micropore tape, or sometimes I would take polyfill at the top of the bag and like close the bag around with a twist tie. This was before I was using.
I've done that.
Yeah, so I had been doing all this stuff and just playing around with it, FAFOing, trying to figure out what I thought worked best, or maybe not even worked best, but whatever I had on hand at the time to do what I was doing with.
MacGyver shit.
What I found that worked back in the day was I would take those clear plastic trash bags, like kind of the opaque ones, and then I would have like my basically bucket teched like substrate. And then I would open the bag and then dump the substrate in there, and then dump the grain spot on top, kind of shake it up a little bit, and then just like capture a bunch of air and rubber around the top, so it was like in a ball, and then just set it somewhere and let it colonize and then fruit in the bag. That was surprisingly worked. Probably about 55-60% of the time. It worked a hell of a lot better than the old ways.
Right.
But bags.
I had actually started using bags with BRF. I went from. I've never been a tub guy. I think I've run maybe 3 or 4 tubs in the 20-something years I've been doing this. It's not that I have anything against it. I just I went from BRF cakes, what do they call it, the PF Tech, right? Where it's in the pint jars and stuff like that. I went from that to me thinking I had a big brain moment and decided that I was going to make logs of it in bags, like basically what we're doing with CV or CVG in bags now. I was doing with BRF, like 4 pounds of it, kind of stuff. Wow. And that worked really well. But back then, it wasn't called bag tech or anything like that. The term they would use back then, when they were doing it out of jars, was in vitro. So I was doing bags in vitro, and I thought it was my own creation, like I came up with it, kind of thing. Which in reality I did, because I didn't get the idea from anyone else. But apparently it's been a thing, and other people had the same idea, and my original fucking innovation wasn't that original.
Right. When it comes to these damn mushrooms, they've been doing this fucking, odds are they've been doing it somewhere for fucking ever.
I've tried so many stupid, weird ways. Like I kind of want to do another, like some nostalgia grows now, damn it.
You mean like a monster grow?
No, it's nostalgia. Like I want to do another bale of hay because that was stupid. When it works, it's mind-blowingly, crazily cool again.
But now with our information that we have on hand now.
Oh, dude, some of the freaking size of the mushrooms. It's just because they had so much to eat. Like, we're so fucking huge. Like, dinner plate size. Like, caps. They were just huge. And,
yeah, I've had some like that.
Yeah. They were just, but they don't, you don't get a lot of flushes, but you just get one really big one. But, yeah.
Definitely. So, what are some of the favorites that you guys had when you were first starting out? Like
anything I could get a hold of.
Ecuador
back in the day.
Ecuador
and B+. Those I actually ran those two for 15 years. Same spore. I did grain to grain all that time.
I think I had probably the most success with was when I finally got a hold of some actual golden teachers instead of just random yard cubes. And I was like, wow, these are very uniform. This is really fucking cool. And then I was like, maybe there's something to this ordering spores online thing, Right. And that was pretty cool. And then I got the B positive or B plus, whatever the hell you want to call it.
There you go.
And where did you score those from?
From a guy on a Yahoo chat.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. It was the old-timey Yahoo chat where you had to refresh the page every freaking time you were typing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was like back when Yahoo used to have like Yahoo groups. So
you had cartoons, and you could turn cartoons on with little bubbles.
And dude, this was before that. Yahoo used to have groups like where there was kind of like just a forums that you could have, and you'd have to go in there and have to refresh the page every time you wanted to see if somebody typed anything. But there was a guy, they got into like it was an ethnogenics type, forum. I don't remember what it was called. The Dark Grow or the Dark Grove, I think, or something like that. And I was like, oh, cool. I like gardening. I wonder what this is about. And got in there and I was like, oh, wow. Hey, look, they're trading like, mushroom spores and seeds and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, cool. I want to try that. And so I think I paid like $10 or some shit like that. But I had to mail the money and I got the spores back. And it was pretty cool. Like they looked professional. They came on a foil and everything in a little plastic baggie. Pretty excited about it. I was like, wow, this is cool. And the actual golden teachers were way better than the freaking rando yard cubes I was using. And then later it was the B positive were working really well. And those were like the two that I had the most success with starting off, but that was a long time ago.
Now, my first run with something other than yard cubes was golden teacher.
Yeah.
And I ran those up until about the time I met mycology and found out about the Discord and all that shit. And I'd run a few of them. I'd run B positive, and I'd run CG, and I'd run I always fuck it up, Mazatepeka or something like that. And they did great. They did great. But the first was golden teacher, and I ran it for a very long time. I always make a joke that the golden teacher's my side bitch,
Right.
I ran that original spore print into the freaking ground.
Yeah, same.
I used every tiny bit of it, and I wish I don't know, even remember what happened to it. I think I just got sidetracked one day and just didn't keep up with that culture. But I had taught that culture to eat what I was feeding it, right? To the point where it was just so reliable, like putting on a pair of old shoes or pants. Get it to do fruit exactly the same way every time. They're so uniform. I wish I had it. I'd go back in time machine. That's probably one of the things I'd save is a little snatch me a piece of it. But yeah, it was a really good one. It was pretty potent. It was average for cubes. It wasn't anything super spectacular, but you could line them all up, and there would be the entire tabletop covered with perfectly uniform cubes, like somebody clone stamped them, and it was really cool looking to me. Because I'm going from having.
Good.
Go ahead.
Because I did tubs for up until 2 years ago. Feral fucking bastard talked me into trying bags, and I never went.
Well,
back
I never did tubs until you talked me into doing tubs. I always done bags.
Yeah. So but now I got fucking 52 bags going at one time. Each one had its own fucking strain in it. But when I started, I was doing nothing but the 56 quart tubs, and there's nothing like when you have those on there. And you just open up that tub, and it's just a huge, nice fucking.
That's what got me into doing the tubs. Is that I would have nice flushes on my bags and stuff, but then you would post those stupid pictures of like having just wall to ceiling, edge to edge, like massive flushes, and I was like, I want to see that in the morning, right? And so I did a couple of tubs, and I was like, hey, it actually really works. But I did that modified where I grew in the bag horizontally, then cut the top off and put the whole freaking bag in the tub.
So basically, you grew it in your liner and then dropped it into a tub.
That's exactly what happened. And it worked out really, really, really well.
Nice.
Like contamination zero. That was really, really nice. That's how I'll probably do it going forward.
Nice.
So I had scored those spores, those beginner spores that I had gotten long time ago from Sporeworks. You guys familiar with them?
That's where I got mine. I think it's a Sporeworks. That's where Hawkeye was selling his shit, wasn't it? A long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they had that was before the falling out, though, right?
I
remember they had a big falling out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but I don't use them anymore simply because I don't deal with spores anymore. Like I've gotten so far, I've removed myself from that so far, except for the spores that I play with now are from my own fruits. They're not like I'm not getting spores from somebody kind of thing. But for the many years that I did, because like I said, I was running BRF, so I wasn't doing agar and all of that work. That came much later for me. I was just doing MSS, inoculating. Okay, so this is how I did it. I would make the PF Tech the jars, the cake, the little cake. I would make those, and then once those were colonized, I would break those up and use those to inoculate the big log in the bag.
Yeah, it works. Just use it as grain spawn.
I was using it as grain spawn, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was just, I didn't have any. That was my method for a very long time. It worked really well. Like it worked way better than people would think it works. Like I've been tempted to actually go back to it a few times just to play around with it because it was very successful.
I use PF Tech to this day. Whenever I'm pheno hunting and shit, you could take it to with a grinder, a cheese grinder. And it just makes it all the nice little fucking pieces. It's fucking perfect.
A grater?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Because I'm sitting here thinking of like cheese grinder, and I'm like, my brain locked up. I was like
your eye was twitching.
Yeah, I was like, for making flour out of the cheese. I don't know.
So I would just kind of berth it into the bag and then close the top of the bag. And then through the bag, I would smash it up and just mix it all around and then pack it down in the bag. And that's what I did for, well over a decade. And so I didn't find out about agar work. I mean, I'd seen it, like I had seen it on Shroomery, but I'd never done it. I didn't feel a need to do it, and
plus on Shroomery they make it sound like it's fucking,
witchcraft.
Yeah, they take really simple things and make it sound. Yeah.
They do it on purpose. It's a type of gatekeeping. Pisses me off.
It's interesting because I've met a lot of people over the years, specifically from Shroomery, that when we get to talking one-on-one and I tell them my method and how I do it and stuff like that, they say, well, that sounds really simple. And I'm like, it is. It's ridiculously simple. And so, well, but just seems so much more complicated when I'm reading about it on Trimmery, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man, but it's not that complicated. You know, like I'm not the smartest. I'm not the smartest guy alive, and I can do it. You can do it too.
Yeah, they intentionally make it seem really difficult. Reddit is the same way, except that Reddit is a little bit more toxic. They'll throw in steps that are intentionally to fuck with you. So you just gotta. We rescue people and bring them to Discord.
Yeah, I had never been part of the Reddit community until recently. I'd say maybe a month ago.
Anything.
Yes,
I wanted to see what it was all about, and I've heard about all the toxicity on that. I want to see for myself, like what's really going on here. So about a month ago, I joined Reddit and made my account, all that stuff, and started posting, and it was wild to me. Some of the responses I get is
open hostility.
Why? Yeah, but over what though? Like,
just because you were doing something and you were correct, but it wasn't the way of the group. So it's so groupthink over there that it's like any sort of deviation from it pisses them off. The entire purpose, I've done things, and I've done pretty famous Reddit like posts just to fuck with them. When they said that, if it wasn't an actual flow hood, it would never work. And so I did a post where that's how the feral flow hood came into an example, like into creation, because I was like, well, fucking watch me. I'm going to be able to flow hood out of shit that I go and get at Home Depot. And so I did a whole post of like taking my daughter to Home Depot and just pictures step by step of everything I purchased and put it together. And I got the most hate out of anything I've ever done on Reddit. And it works. The feral flow hood is now super popular, and there's tons and tons of people out there using it. And it's just some Merv 13
Meister's actually building one right now.
Right this second, yeah.
Right this second, Meister's building one.
So the feral flow hood,
what it is.
Okay, the feral flow hood, it's a flow hood. It works super, super well. I used it for years. I still use a modified version of it to this day. And what it is you get some of that that hard foam. It's pink from like.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. You get some of that. You build you a fucking cube out of it. That's it. You build you a 5-sided box, and one side in the front. You put 2 Merv 13 filters with the arrows facing the direction of the flow, so out of the box, right?
Sure.
Calm down, child. And and then on top of it, you get a floor fan, right? Just a regular floor fan. You can pick them up for $50, and you just take that, you flip it up, you cut a hole in the top, you put the floor fan in it, and you tape around it. Ta-da! You have a flow hood.
Now, when you say a floor fan, are you talking about a blower?
Yeah.
Yeah, just the regular blue floor fan blower.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's going to create a constant. Now, it's important to have the box at least like 20 inches deep. We found that way works the best. The 20 by 20 by 20 box works really, really well.
Because you're creating a baffle. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So
you don't end up with the turbulent airflow because it builds up pressure, static pressure in the box, and then it exits the box uniformly. Yeah, I get it.
You get a nice steady flow of air, and over time people have added stuff to it. Like they built, like right now I have mine where I've built a box around the fan on top of the box, and I have a little 12 by 12 pre-filter in there just to keep dust from blowing into the fan, from the room.
Keep the fan clean. Yeah, makes sense.
That's it. But the fans already have built-in like plugins on them. So I run my stir plate off of the freaking fan. I run extra light for when I'm doing stuff. I have like slaps all over the damn thing. Magnets. We take these magnet strips and slap them on the side so your scalpels and all your shit's organized on it. And the thing weighs like I think 2 pounds. 3 pounds, so you can pick it up and put it away when you're done with it, put it on a shelf, something like that. You're not afraid to bump into it, because the worst thing that happens is you're out $10 for the freaking pre-filters, and if you fuck up a side of it, you could just cut the tape, take it off, slap a new side on. You're good to go. You can they'll also ship flat, and you can ship them to other people, right? So like they're stupid easy to make, and they work beautifully. I even did like a video of where like I left a bunch of Petri dishes open in front of the thing overnight, left it on, then closed them all up and let them see if they grew anything. Nothing. And Reddit still fucking hated me for it. They hated it. That'll never work. Oh, God, that's terrible. I'll never. Oh, God. And it works. I just don't know what to say. And it's worked for so many people since then. Like,
I have a similar story to that. With the little BBFFU that I've been teaching people how to make for about the last year and a half or so. I got the idea off of a guy doing something similar on YouTube. I think it was.
I'm going to shoot you pictures real quick of the FAFO so you can see what I'm talking about. But you keep talking.
Well, you know what I'm talking about though, the box fan filter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So I spent a considerable amount of time figuring out a way to improve upon what I had seen this guy on YouTube make. And it's similar, the MERV 13 in the front. And then I learned that if I put the right pre-filter on the back, it actually improved the airflow, which I thought was crazy. It didn't make sense to me. But a buddy of mine was telling me, he says, with airflow, you can improve that by creating back pressure, by choking the back a little bit. You got to find the right sweet spot because you don't choke it enough. It doesn't work as well. You choke it too much, and it also is a problem. So I went to Home Depot and I bought everything from like MERV 5 to MERV 13 and just started playing around with them. I knew the 13 had to be on the front because of the level of filtration that's needed for you to have the clean air. But I also said, okay, so we'll create some back pressure. So, I worked my way up to 7, and that was giving me the best. And then I went above 7, 8, 9. As the higher I went, it started to decrease again. So I figured, okay, it's 7 and 13. That's the winning combo right there. And then I started thinking about it and said, well, not only is this going to create better flow, but it's also going to pre-filter and make the front filter last longer and keep a bunch of the dust out of the fan itself, So I ran that thing for like a year, and I still use it to this day. I don't use it in the same manner that I was before. I did everything in front of that, but now I use it as not only like a room filter. I let it run for about an hour or so before I turn the hood on. That way, it takes the brunt of the filtration out of the air, and my flow hood filter doesn't get beat up so bad. It'll last longer that way. At least that's how I think about it.
Makes sense.
But I still do stuff. I don't do plate pours in front of it anymore. But like when I'm pouring agar, I'll put my stir plates in front of it, and it helps cool them down to get them down to a good pouring temperature. Again, I use it as.
What do you use as your pouring temp?
I poured 100.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of people think that's weird, but I was watching a guy on YouTube, and it didn't have anything to do with mushrooms. It was just like pouring agar for lab work.
Right.
And he said something in the video, and I responded to him in text, in the comment section. And he said he pours at 100, and I said, that sounds crazy, man, because like I heard the lowest you should start pouring is like 130, 125, 130, that it'll start to solidify. And he said, yeah, I wouldn't listen to that. He says, I've been pouring agar in labs for 30 years, and 100 is a great temperature. He says, pull it off the plate at 105, and by the time you're pouring, it's 100 degrees. He says, as long as you're swift and you're bot about it, and you get shit done, it's not going to solidify on you. And I thought the dude was full of shit. Like, honestly, I thought he was full of shit because all I'd ever heard was 130, or anywhere from 150 to 130. And I just, something in my gut told me, just fucking do it, man. Do it once. What's the worst it's going to cost you? $3, $4 top? So I tried it, and it worked great. I got a whole lot less condensation in my plates. This was back when I was using actual plates. And it worked perfect. So that's what I've been doing since. I use K cups now. The 1.5 ounce K cups. That's what I use now, just because I'm so tired of wrapping plates. Like that, just fuck that, man. I'm so done with that. The little 1.5 ounce K cups have a pretty decent footprint, and you pop the top on them and almost never ever tam. Like if I poured 300, I call them plates. If I poured 300 cups in one pour, you might get one or two that tam, and that's pretty much the same type of tam rate I'd have with regular ass plates that I wrap and all that. So like, why? Like, I don't know, man. I've been sold on it. I know people say they're ghetto. I know whatever. I don't care. That for me.
I use my K cups when I start cold brew. So instead of wasting a plate for the MSS, I used to go ahead and throw them in there and then get a few different cups.
Well, I shot you those pictures of what the FAFO flow hood is, and I can send you the write up later. But yeah, I use K cups, but I've got so many of dishes, plates left that I'm still going to go through. I buy them like 1,000 at a time, so I've got tons of them. Now, I use a brown rice flour. I found that when I use that in my agar, the agar is like, it thickens up way quick. So I can't pour it 100. I have to pour it like 125.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. If you use brown rice flour, that stuff turns to gravy at like 110 degrees. So it's like trying to pour a gravy boat.
I think it's interesting how people have all these additives that they put in. Like you said, you use the brown rice flour, and some people crush up dog food, and there's all these different things, and it's wild to me that these things are working so well. Like I would have never thought of brown rice flour. Yeah, I would have thought of that just simply because I used the shit out of it making VRF cakes. But like dog food, I would have never ever thought of using dog food.
My favorite's mycology. Berta. Brown rice dextrose agar. So it's brown rice flour, just regular dextrose, not like table sugar, but actual dextrose, peptone, and agar. And it's usually like 7 grams of brown rice flour, 7 grams of dextrose, to 1 gram of peptone, and 700 mils of water. And so it's like 771, and gotcha. That's like my absolute favorite. It just really crazy ropey, amazingly super fast growth, like so explosively fast growth. And that one to me is just so easy to make. And that's because I have this little scoop that I think it was from my daughter's Barbie set, but it just it measures exactly 7 grams of rice flour. Like, so I don't have to like really actually put it on a scale. I can just scoop it out of there and then just level it off the top, and then it's within like 0.1 either direction. So yeah. measuring stuff is like scoop and then measure out the dextrose and the peptone. But peptone is kind of a secret ingredient for agar. It works super well, but it smells like just death. It's really bad. Yeah, but it works really, really well. I use it in my liquid cultures too.
A lot of people do. Yeah, I've used it. I don't use. There's a lot of things I quit using, and Peptone was one of them. I don't use Peptone or yeast anymore. I don't use the. Oh my God! I can't believe my brain just shut down. The CVG, gypsum.
Yeah.
I don't use gypsum anymore. I just use straight CV. My agar and my LC are very basic. Like I use well, it depends. Sometimes I'll use honey, sometimes I'll use raw sugar, like raw and processed sugar. It doesn't really matter, just as long as it's got some type of glucose additive. The one thing I do use that a lot of people kind of taken back by is that I use agar in my LC.
Oh, thick LC.
Yeah, I fucking love it, dude. I love it. If I'm doing, a liter of LC, and I'll eventually split that between like 4 jars. But when I make the batch, I make it all together at once. and I'll just use like 1 gram of agar in that liter, and it completely changes its I don't know if the term is viscosity or
Yes, sir. That's the right term.
right. So like
Yep.
how thick it is, how the liquid moves, and
we did a podcast on this.
Really?
Oh, yeah, we did a podcast on agar and thick liquid culture, but we spelled it THICC. You know,
I like it.
But yeah, using it like a slurry because it coats the grains and everything really, really well.
It
clings
does
to stuff. Yeah, and it causes like super, super fast colonization.
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
so it's I'm just kind of a really basic kind of guy, you know. A lot of people expect something else out of me, but that I'm just not that. I have no desire whatsoever for things to happen fast. Like everybody talks about, oh man,
I like experimenting.
No, I do that. I do that, but I'm talking about like for my day to day. I FAFO a lot, you know. Like I love experimenting, and that's how I know about these things, is because I've played with pretty much anything I could get my hands on, just to see what type of results you get. But in as far as production wise, I'm good with. There's an old saying that, you know, slow and steady wins the race, and I win the race with planning. You know, like my stuff's not the fastest, but I get better output just because of how well I plan everything. You know, so everybody said, "Well, what about this? What about that?" I said, "You know, I don't use any of that. I played with them, but what I've learned is anything that hastens cultivation also raises your contamination rate.
Yeah.
It's another vector, and they say, well, I plan for that. I plan on 10% of my yield contaminating. So
Why would you want to do that?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't understand that mindset at all, because to me, that's wasted materials. Like I'm also a cheap ass, you know. Like if you notice, a lot of the stuff you guys are in my server, you see all the broke boy shit that we do.
Yeah.
You know, using fucking produce bags for bags, and Ziploc bags and bread bags, and you know, we're all about doing it on the cheap, but still effectively, you know. And
probably the cheapest and most effective nutritional based substrate that I found is there's this $7 bag of just potting soil. It's for outdoor use, like for in the ground. I guess it's soil enhancer or whatever. But it's $7 a freaking bag for like 7 cubic foot bag, and I'd just add a little bit of chopped straw or something to that, but it would be fine by itself.
7 cubic foot bag? That's a bag almost as big as me.
No.
Yeah, a 4 cubic foot bag of vermiculite is like,
well, that's because it's
past my
freaking
waist.
fluffy. I got pictures of it. Let me see what it says. But it's
well. Now I'm confused because I thought cubic feet didn't have anything to do with. It had to do specifically
that's
with
with area. That's with area. Not, the area of their volume area. Same thing.
This is the Kellogg Organic Plus locally made soil topper for lawns and seeding. It's all of 7 freaking. Okay, sorry, it's like 1.5 cubic foot. It's a shitload of liters. It says. I can't read the bag. 42.4 liters.
Okay.
What the fuck does that mean?
$7 at Home Depot. 1.5 cubic foot of this Kellogg soil topper, and it's not pre-inoculated with trick, and it's just fantastic. You can just literally bag it up, or just bucket tech the damn thing as it is, and then bag it up and just inoculate it and go. Like,
man, that sounds pretty awesome.
It requires no talent at all. No mixing, no talent. It's
right up my alley.
It's the laziest nutritional substrate I've come up with, because it's like 50% compost and 50% like peat moss and like bark. So it works fantastic. It really does. It looks really cool too in a bag. But I just divide it up into these very large bags that I use. I buy off of Amazon. I think they're like 20 by 8 by 5 or something like that. And I put like 10 pounds of substrate in each bag, and then just PCM for an hour and a half. And then now they're shelf stable for all eternity. And whenever I get around to it, I'll knock them one up. But it's so cheap. You can bucket tech it because it's not inoculated with anything. And it works. Like, it's cheap. You can't mix CVG up for that cheap.
No, you can't. Not for 7 pounds of it, or not 7 pounds, 7 cubic feet of it. That's a massive amount. Yeah, that's badass.
Well, it's 1.5 cubic feet. It's 42.4. It's 42.4 liters is what it is.
Right.
It was too many sevens in the number because it's $7.77. It's $7.77 at Home Depot. It's a Kellogg brand soil topper, and it's cheap and it works really, really well.
Oh yeah, man! I'll have to give it a tryout just for giggles, just to try something new.
It works. I've always wanted to inoculate the entire bag and just leave it in the bag, just like inject like some liquid culture into the bag, and then just set the bag somewhere, and then in like a month cut the top open and see if it'll fruit.
Or cut you a big old X on the flat side.
Yeah, just set it somewhere, like just set it like underneath the deck or something, somewhere nice and cool out of the way.
Yeah.
But because I think it would probably do pretty decent. It comes like already at like field capacity, so you don't have to add water to it or anything.
Man,
sounds like
just
cheating.
Taking all the guesswork out of it.
It is cheating. It is really cheating. But it's cheap cheating and fast cheating.
I'll take that. I'll take it.
Yeah. But I've always wanted to try that. I think I'm going to try that next week. I think I'm just going to, because it's now getting warm enough here that it's not like, I'm not risking like a freeze overnight. So I just set it in the shade and just inject some liquid culture into the whole freaking bag, put a little piece of tape over the injection hole and let it ride. See what happens.
So earlier, circling back to what we were saying earlier, you guys had asked me what my favorite cultigen was currently. What y'all's?
Oh, we have a couple that we've came up with in our group. We have one that the Deadpool there has came up with from our crazy ass monstrosity grow that works really, really well. And which one's that one name again?
Light Bright.
Yeah, he came up with. We did this monstrosity.
Like the old Light Bright?
Yeah.
Kids where you put the little clear pegs in and make a picture out of it?
Exactly.
I love it. I fucking love it.
Because when it came through, it was almost the light hits it. It's like the cap is actually a rainbow. It was the weirdest thing.
The monstrosity grows. We took like 21 different spores. Like I just took like 21 spore prints I had from all of these fucking different types. Scraped them all into a bunch of sterile water, spun the living shit out of it, and then drew it up and put it into sterile vials. And everybody got a sterile vial of 21 different like strains of all sorts of different shit, all put the fuck together. And then we were just all going to PF Tech it and inoculate. And we had a competition to see who had the biggest fruit, the biggest flushes, the most unique fruit, all sorts of shit like that. Deadpool fucking won everything, and he got the Penosaurus Rex trophy.
I shall show it with pride.
You send him that picture right now so he knows the Penosaurus Rex.
He's actually already showed it to me.
I show everybody Penis Rex.
Yeah, he won the Penosaurus Rex, trophy for the most phallic and largest and biggest mushrooms. But we came up with a whole bunch of interesting stuff out of that. Later on, we came up with tits and what the bucket.
Yep.
And that was just from I had all of these random like cultures, right? Just a whole shitload of freaking Petri dishes, and I just emptied them into a 5-gallon bucket, and then layered in poo, and then straw and hay, and so there was like 300 or so odd Petri dishes that all went into this bucket, and I just put the whole bucket into a trash can, and then just left it underneath like a table outside, and then when it started fruiting, I just opened up the bag and just brought it inside and let it fruit. And all sorts of crazy shit came out of there. And one of the most potent damn mushrooms ever, tits. It looks like beautiful, like Hispanic tits. Like,
chocolate nipples.
Yeah, just it looks really nice, like really nice set of like South Texas Hispanic woman tits. And so that's how we named that one. And then What the Bucket, because the entire grow is called the What the Bucket grow, because we never knew what the fuck was going to come out of there. There were monocaryons. There was all sorts of different shit in there. It was just random crap. I had like this huge box of freaking Petri dishes I just wanted to get rid of, but I didn't want to throw them in the trash because that's sketchy as shit. So I just dumped them all out into a bucket and just let them grow. And it made mushrooms for a very long time, and some of them sucked, and some of them were really weak looking, and some of them were just spectacular. And then we have the Illusion Weaver's Special Blue, which is an Illusion Weaver's isolation that is like black inside. Like when you cut it or touch it.
I still don't have
I do. You got it. There's a bunch of other guys that are growing it in the group too. But it's like absolutely black, and it is the most visual mushroom on the planet. Like it is stupidly crazy good. And then we have Lizard King, which I'm just coming down off of.
Yeah. I've run Lizard King. Yeah.
Well, we have a really, really
Farrell's Lizard King is quite on the high end.
Yeah, it kick you in the fucking nuts. It's like so our Lizard King is not it's not a come up. It's like, surprise, you're fucking high. Like between one breath and another, it just like suddenly kicks you in the teeth. And it's usually a really, really high energy, like really great, like, high. It's something that I recommend people like start low with, like under like 750 milligrams. It is a pretty good newbie dose for it to get some like mandalas and some, walls moving and shit like that. Well, our last podcast we did earlier today, we were going to talk about mental health. And so me and Deadpool like looked at each other digitally. We're like, yeah, we're going to be high for this. And so we ducked down and he ate ODPE and I took like one too many pills of Lizard King and just had a really strong experience.
Yeah. My monitor was laughing at me.
Yeah.
Your monitor?
Yeah, it's the flashing, but it looks like the flashing was a mouth on the bottom of the monitor. I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Yeah, I closed my eyes and there was like sea lampreys everywhere. So like, it was a little bit too much. With the topic, a little bit too much. And
that's interesting you say that because when I say recently, I mean relatively. I don't mean like a couple days ago, but recently I had tripped with some friends of mine, and I brought over a bag of Jack Frost, and they were kind of like the last of what I had from that run. So there were some fruits, but there were also a bunch of aborts, like a bunch of them. And for some reason, my brain didn't fucking remember the disparity of potency between full-size fruits and aborts. And when it came
to water.
Yeah. So when it came to dishing them out, I didn't want to, give the aborts to my friends. I was giving them the full fruits, and I took around 4.5 grams of aborts. Of Jack Frost.
Holy shit.
Dude, I was fucked, man. Like, okay, so it was very strong, right? Like, just to start off with that, it was very strong. But at about 3.5 hours, 4 hours, my buddies were like, "Oh man, it's starting to back off a little bit," and I'm like, "It ain't fucking backing off for me." and the 5th hour, I'm sitting there, and they're pretty much come down completely, and they're just kind of basking in the afterglow, and I'm still fucking amped, dude. I mean, hard amped, like I'd done some hard drugs.
I'm
I'm
now
like,
coming down.
I can say I'm in my afterglow phase right now.
That's where I'm at. That just actually kicked in the last 5 minutes. Yeah. The afterglow kicked in the last 5 minutes.
But so, it was hour 5, and then it was hour 6, and then it was hour 7, and I'm still sitting there. I'm super amped. I'm like walking around, pacing and like headbanging to fucking music, and I'm really energetic, and it's feeling great. But at some point, like my body was done, like it was spent. And I didn't have nothing left to give, but I was still going. And I was just like, it wasn't a bad trip at all. It was an amazing trip. But at that point, I'm just like, enough already, like fucking stop.
Right.
So my peak ended up lasting like almost 8 hours straight. And I had never, ever had a peak last that long. And 4 or 5 hours tops on a good peak. Normally it's around 3 to 4 hours for me for the peak. But man, and when it was done, I fucking slept for an entire day, like a whole 24-hour period. I was dead to the fucking world. My old lady took care of me. It was like I felt like one of the old people in the nursing home where she was just, fucking sponge bathing me and doing all kinds of shit like that to just take care of me. And I would love to do that again, but I need to be prepared for that.
Oh yeah. I was not prepared at all for what happened today. It was supposed to be like a moderate dose. Just
that was
to get
spontaneous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're just there was just me and Deadpool, we're on the same wavelength a lot of time. And we look at each other digitally, we're like, yeah, we're going to be fucked up for this. And so we just go, and I grabbed one too many pills of Lizard King, and then I took them, and I knew about 15 minutes in, I was like, oh, this wasn't a moderate dose, because I'm like, all of a sudden my toes felt too long. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it reminded me of that meme I keep seeing where the guy's looking in the mirror and everything's melting, and he's like, "This is not a microdose."
Yeah. So I was like, I'm sitting here trying to have a serious conversation with this guy, and Deadpool's over there all of a sudden just heavy breathing into the fucking microphone, and I'm like, well, he's out. And I'm sitting here trying to deal with mentally my fucking lemur toes, which are getting tangled up in my fucking Crocs. And I'm like, this is gonna be fun. Luckily, the guy loved to talk, so
Carl's a good dude.
Carl just talked the whole time, so we let him just go. But it was like, wow, that was a little bit much. I have to go lay down.
But you know what though? The one that I'm really excited about right now is honestly, I started this from Geeky about 8 months ago. He sent me something from Wombat. Everybody, they were trying to cross ape and Ecuador, so he sent me the genetics for those, and I've been working on those because nobody could ever get them to fruit, and I actually got to start. I got on the fruit as in last month. And basically what happened, I had a guy. I gave him one fresh fruit off this one. It was about 72 grams fresh. I mean, just off the block. He took a quarter of that thing. I'm going to read you the text that he sent me the next day. He said, "You are a wizard. Those fresh were amazing colors, eyes closed, and geometric signs through the trees in my backyard." He's like, he did that for 4 hours. He took a quarter of that fruit. It wasn't even a whole gram. So I'm like, really? And I'm like, Ecuador, I've always done Ecuador from day one. That was my number one strain. And then I'm like, okay, well, yeah, but then ape. So it's like you got the nice slow up of the Ecuador, and then you got the punch in the nuts from the ape. And it might be a fucking super, super, super strong fucking thing about going on. I got 5 phenos right now. I'm getting ready to run all 5 of them here in the next week.
Nice. And we'll have to get you, WhiteBeard, we'll have to send you some like tits and our Lizard King, and we'll have to send you some stuff.
Hell yeah.
Just so you can experiment with it and join the fucking cool kid club.
I'm too much of a nerd for that, man. I've never been one of the cool kids.
I'm gonna make hats here this afternoon. I'm making cool kid hats. So
I want my name in red.
Yeah, no, I'll make you one with your name, and I'll make you one too, to WhiteBeard.
Hell yeah!
I got this. My hats finally came in. They're really nice hats. They're the Gildan all cotton ones.
Oh yeah,
so they don't have the stupid little holes and stuff in the back. They're the actual nice caps. And I found the piece to my heat press that allows me to do the hats, and then I found the video online to show me actually how to do it. And because I was just going to play with it, and I was willing to some of you may die, but that's okay with me. Burn a shitload of hats trying to figure it out. But I feel 49% confident I could not fuck it up the first go, right? so I'm going to screw a couple of them up, but ideally I would be able to make some pretty nice hats for everybody. But
I'm 100% confident that I'll be at least 50% successful.
Yes, exactly.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That's that. What's that? That's that Panther.
Anchor,
what is it called?
Black Panther. Made of real bits of Black Panther.
It was
Anchorman.
It was Sex Panther.
Sex Panther.
It
smells like Bigfoot's dick.
It's Sex Panther. Made with real bits of Panther. 60% of the time works every time. Sex Panther cologne.
I haven't seen that, but it sounds fucking hilarious.
Oh my god, you haven't seen?
You've never seen Anchorman? Oh my god,
no. You killed a guy with a trident.
Yeah. Police are probably looking for me.
The guy's like, ah.
Yeah.
No, I'm more of a like psychological thriller horror kind of movie guy. I don't watch a whole lot of comedy.
No.
Oh yeah, but there's certain comedy movies that are just so iconic. You've got to what was the other one we watched that we quote all the fucking time? Idiocracy. Right?
Dude.
Idiocracy started.
You got me at Idiocracy. Yeah.
It started off as a comedy and it slowly became a fucking documentary.
Yeah.
We were actually talking about that over on your server, Whitey. Just like
we were. Absolutely.
So there's certain movies that we quote all the time. Do you know I had a freaking partner on the ambulance the other day that had never even seen Matrix because they were in their fucking 20s.
I've never seen it.
They're in their early 20s and never seen Matrix because it came out before them and they thought it's an old movie now. Like, you bastards.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I've seen they had a anime type, I think it was called the Animatrix or something like that.
With the three different shows on one DVD.
Yeah, I one of my friends was playing that at his house one time when I was over, and I saw part of that, but I'd never seen the movies. So when the new one's coming out, I'm not psyched about it because I don't.
You're done.
Well,
I've
never seen.
They did kind of PC the living shit out of the last one, so it's not what it wasn't that cool.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I went off what Farrell said. Once they start PCing the shit that I like, I want no interest.
They PC'd the crap out of it.
I don't really have so much of an issue with a lot of the things that are being put out from Netflix and things like that. I just wish they were upfront about it. I feel like I'm getting lulled in with a killer first season of something, and then the second season goes full SJW, and I'm like, why?
It's all about
why are you ruining this?
They got to throw the message down your throat,
Yeah.
Look what their fucking Disney's doing. All right, Disney's
it's ridiculous.
Did you see the trailer for the new Peter Pan?
No.
Oh, Jesus Christ. It's bad. Like, it's already got, like, on YouTube, it's got, like 290 downvotes and, like, 47 upvotes. Because
I'll tell you what I did
Tinkerbell's now from India. Like, it's all about, like, the Lost Boys are 50% girls.
What?
There's no white. Yeah. The Lost Boys are 50% girls, and they're all black. And so it's like they've just, like, they understand this was originally written a long freaking time ago, right? Like,
if you're gonna pull this shit down my throat, how about you come up with your own fucking story instead of trying to redo something that we all love?
My problem isn't with about changing the colors of any of the people. My problem is about it was the Lost Boys. It has the word boys in it. Why is there Lost Girls? And why are they all girl power in the Lost Boys? Right? Like, they're all straight up, it was all straight up girl power in the Lost Boys. And I'm like, why is Wendy sword fighting? Wendy was the rational one of the whole fucking group. Like, she was supposed to be like the pseudo mom that talked everybody else into going back to living in reality, right? And now you've got Wendy sword fighting, and she's taking on like 5 guys at once, and she's protecting Pan, and it's like, that's not exactly what happened.
Is that kind of what they did with the Matrix too, with the girls?
Yes, that he couldn't fight worth a shit. He used to be like, the main protagonist. Neo used to be like the super badass, but the new one, it's all about girl power, and Neo can't fight worth a damn. He couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper sack. Only the girls could fight or shoot or do cool stuff or, like, fly or teleport or any of the cool stuff they could in the previous one.
They cucked the hell out of He-Man too. I don't know if you saw that Masters of the
Universe show. Oh God, that
horrible.
Hurt. That hurt, because I remember, like, He-Man was like the shit. He was like the strong alpha male type, murder-tastic bastard. And then now he's this simpy little freak who can't do shit.
Yeah, and he wasn't even in half of the show.
No.
And I was like,
thunder, Thundercats. Oh, and there was like, that happened once. And it wasn't even right. I was like, fuck this shit.
Well, they went from that to where half of the show He-Man wasn't even in it, to fucking Scooby-Doo that doesn't even have Scooby.
Well, you're talking about the new one with the Velma? Yeah.
No, that one's disturbing.
Crap.
That fucking one's disturbing. That thing is being pawned off on freaking kids, and that one's like all about, and it's teaching like, she's graphically talking about her lesbian sex life.
Well, and they're also super emasculating Fred. Norville, who is Shaggy, is now a black dude that doesn't smoke pot. And there was a scene I saw. I have a 12-year-old. That's why I know this stuff. There's a scene where Fred's mother dies in the scene. This fucking thing falls on her and completely crushes her. And, like, there's blood everywhere. And Velma is standing over Fred's dead mother, covered in blood and twerking. What the fuck is that?
Oh, fuck.
Who the fuck wrote this shit? This is being forced down the kids' freaking mouths. And this is why I'm so careful about what my daughter watches nowadays. Like, I've gone on YouTube and made her own YouTube account, and I've blocked so much shit. Like, it's ridiculous. She can watch, like, Sonic the Hedgehog movies and, a couple other things. But, like, so much crap nowadays sucks, man, or it's weird. It's just weird.
I don't understand all the you said you don't have an issue with it, but I do. Why are they changing the color of everybody? Why is the Little Mermaid black?
Well,
I don't understand that.
White people are in the minority now anyway. So I don't care.
It's not about that. It's not about that at all for me. It's an established character. Like they did it years ago with the Fantastic Four where Johnny Blaze was black. It's like, no, Johnny Blaze and the other guy's supposed to be brothers. You know how
it's the opposite of whitewashing. You're not going to be able to win that one, but it's the opposite of whitewashing, and you're not going to win that one. Just let it be. But if the characters would just at least act true to character, right? Well, I would be happy with it. If they acted true to character, I don't care what color they are. I don't care what sex they are. I don't care if Velma wants to go and have sex with a goat if she acted true to character. But that wasn't Velma. Like, Velma didn't twerk over a freaking dead mom, you know? But, but they won't act, they're not acting true to character. They're rewriting things for some weird message they're trying to push down everybody's throat. And I usually don't get political on this show at all, but this is something I feel very strongly about, is that it's taken, and it's, no story has a good, happy ending anymore. It has an okay ending that doesn't offend anybody.
Yeah.
Right? And they're okay if the ending doesn't show like mom and dad getting back together or the family getting back together, everybody living fine and happy lives, as long as it stays within this predefined message that is the same message that's been pushed down everybody's throat since grade school now. You know, like the grade schools nowadays, you have teachers wearing cat ears to school. You know,
what about that? What about that one shop teacher that's a male and he's got those ginormous boobs, those fake prosthetic boobs? Have you seen that? He's a shop teacher.
What, on South Park?
No, it's a real fucking person.
Life.
Yeah.
This is a real life.
I think they're like Triple Z. They're literally like 50 gallon bags of like full of like Jello, right? But he hangs them around his neck and then puts a sweater on. They're not physically attached to his body because he can take them off and go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He just wears these big giant fake tits and a bad blonde wig.
So that's the perfect thing for your kids, I guess. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the guy who's supposed to be teaching your kids at school to do stuff. Well, I get it. Maybe they want to express themselves, but expressing yourself in a position of authority over children is probably not the place to do that. Expressing yourself at home is probably on your own time is perfectly acceptable. But that's what freedom is.
I don't care. Yeah, I don't care what you do. You do it wherever the fuck you want, but don't shove it down my fucking throat.
Dude, it's bad.
What we were talking about earlier when I was talking about the changing the races and all that stuff. The real issue I have with that isn't that all of a sudden the Little Mermaid's black or something. It's that, well, it kind of is that in all reality. Like, leave the established characters alone, right? But really what it comes down to is why aren't they creating new things? Like, I don't have an issue with there being...
Well, that would be too hard for them to come up with a new idea.
Well,
I don't have an issue with there being a black mermaid, right? Because there was. If you watch the movies, there was a black mermaid. Yeah. One of the I know it's not Poseidon. He has a different name in the Little Mermaid. I can't remember what his name is.
Neptune.
But one of his daughters is black.
King Neptune.
King Neptune. One of his daughters is black. And you know what?
Asian daughter too. She was there. Yeah.
And you know what makes sense, because the guy gets around, and the oceans are everywhere in the world. So why wouldn't you have? I don't have an issue with there being a black mermaid or an Asian mermaid, but why is Ariel, this established character, why is Velma Indian? She's never been Indian. Yeah. Are these, Johnny Blaze? Johnny Blaze isn't a black dude.
Why is
perfectly fine to have
now
somebody with his powers. It could be fine to have somebody with his powers that's black also, and him be on the scene, and he's got a new name, and call him whatever you want to call him. But why are you messing with the established characters? Like, leave them alone. Come up with something new.
I feel the same way. I've collected comic books my entire life, so
yeah,
I hate it when they for no reason other than just to do it. I mean,
well, the problem is I think it all comes down to the lack of creativity. Creativity is beaten out of your child nowadays. It's beaten out of pretty much everybody nowadays. You are taught from a very young age to work in a cubicle. And that's basically what school is just training to work in a cubicle. You sit at a desk the entire time. You're supposed to sit still, listen to what somebody has to say, and do the work that's set in front of you while not cheating off anybody else and looking exactly forward. You're taught to work in a cubicle. And that is a throwback from way back in like the 70s and 80s, where that was an office job. It was just training to work for an office job. That's not how the world is anymore. But what we've done is we've very successfully removed creativity from the classroom. Nowadays, you don't even have creative writing classes and like those stuff anymore. It's just imagination is just burnt out of people because imagination is dangerous. Ideas are dangerous. People can come up with these fancy ideas and create revolutions or write something scary.
I'm full of nasty stuff. Full of it.
Yeah. But they've done this to the point where now you're seeing the results of the fruits of that, of where you've beaten down people and taken away the imagination to the point where now you have an entire group of people who are now in the positions to write the stories, make the movies, and they don't know what to do. They're like, well, let's just remake this one, but how about we make it so that it fits what I grew up with in school of this social justice warrior mentality? Well, now we can make it fit the narrative. And that's just what they're doing. They don't have the wherewithal to make a new story or write a new story. They can just remake old stuff. And
now, have you noticed that they've taken all the liberal arts out of school now? Like when I went to school, there were classes like pottery, paper mache, the electives that were, music, and not just a generalized music class, but you could take, like I played piano, and then after I got bored with that, I played violin, and I would take.
I was a drummer through my whole high school.
There you go.
Yeah, I did piano and cello and violin and viola and trumpet. And,
they don't do that anymore.
Nope, they don't. Now, the only way to find that nowadays is to homeschool your kid and pay for them to go to private classes for that.
Yep.
That's what we intend to do with our daughter. We try to. You could always kind of hear her in the background here, right? She's a toddler. She's almost 4, and we keep her here at the house with us all the time. But she's playing, and it doesn't bother me at all. Make some noise, sweetie. I don't care. Yeah, I'm in the middle of a podcast. Come up here and show me that Play-Doh. I'll hit mute. Hey, it doesn't bother me. We try to encourage her to be play with her imagination as much as possible. And right now she's growling at the dog. I don't know why, but they're barking at each other. It's just a toddler. Anyway, so your random animal noises in the background. But so we do intend to do there's these lots of, in Texas anyway, there's these homeschool groups where you get together and they actually go on field trips. They don't do that anymore in schools. They actually do stuff and hands-on. And like, hey, I like teaching sciences. So I might be the person who teaches science to the homeschoolers, right? Come on over, kids. Let's learn about biology. Let's dissect a frog. We're going to play. We're going to have some fun with that.
Do they even do that anymore? Do they dissect animals in school?
No.
Wow.
No.
They don't learn anything anymore other than fucking bullshit. Huh?
Biology used to be a multi-semester thing in high school. Now it's like a 1-week talk, dude.
Same thing with chemistry.
Is. Yeah, chemistry used to be like this big thing where everybody experiments and everybody gets all these pieces together and shit. Some asshole always ends up drinking methylene blue, but it's. But
actually, we were the kids that were stealing the ethanol. You like stories on your podcast. This is a short but really good one.
Nice.
We were in high school, and my mother's been a scientist my whole life. She retired from Department of Ecology, Washington. She was a scientist there, an environmental scientist. But like from childhood, she had already had her bachelor's and then master's in chemistry and biology. And so I probably knew a little bit more about chemistry than most kids my age in high school, just from who my mother was, and I knew what ethanol was. And I had heard her talking about how when she was in college in the 70s, how ethanol used to come in like this big glass gallon jar, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like a carboy.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and that she would steal it, and they would make jungle juice and all this shit, right? Well, what I didn't know was because of her generation and what her generation did in chemistry, they made it policy pretty much statewide. I mean, not state, but like United States wide for places of learning that were able to have ethanol, that they would dose it with phenolphthalein. And I didn't know that, and she didn't know that. Yeah. So I heard her stories, and I went and stole one of those from the chem lab in high school and went and made jungle juice, and it was a big party, man. Like, there had to have been at least 60, 70 people at a party. And to me, that's fucking huge, you know?
Yeah.
And we made this jungle juice with the ethanol and all that, and nobody noticed anything for about 15, 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden, everybody unilaterally started having, you know, intestinal discomfort.
There were all of a sudden not enough shitters in the area.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was at a house. It was a house party, so it was two bathrooms, and the master bedroom was closed off because, you know, that was his parents' house and his parents' bedroom. Nobody was allowed to go in there. So, I mean, literally, people are getting explosive diarrhea, all of us at the same time. And people are shitting on themselves. People are shitting in the yard. They're shitting in trash cans. They're shitting in the sinks. They're shitting everywhere, man.
Oh my God, that's beautiful. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall. I'd have been like, holy shit. There's 60 fucking.
That sounds like a good ass party to me.
Yeah, it's like I would be the guy laughing hysterically in the corner because, like, I'll be like, "You guys don't believe this? This is gonna be one of the best stories of our lives."
Well, like, at the time, it wasn't funny at all. You know, like. Yeah. I can laugh about it now, but in that moment, that was probably one of the most fucking dire and embarrassing situations I'd ever been in at that age, you know?
Well, you weren't alone, I think.
No, I wasn't alone. No. I mean, there was probably maybe a handful of those people who didn't drink it because, you know, we were in high school and they didn't want to drink alcohol and things like that. You know, the same type of group of people when people are smoking weed, there's always, you know, the handful that are like, yeah, no, I'm good, thank you, kind of stuff. And I'm not hating on that at all. I'm just saying, you know, there were a couple survivors from that night, but not many, not many at all. And that's how I learned about phenolphthalein.
Science. That's beautiful.
Man, I hadn't thought about that in forever.
That's great. What our podcast does.
That's perfect.
It brings back horrible memories.
Happiness and sunshine. Are you kidding me? God, just picturing that. All these kids driving around. Like, the mom comes. Could you imagine the parents come home and there's like shit 4 feet up the side of the goddamn wall? Like, what the fuck happened?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't stick around after that to see exactly the aftermath of that because
the whole yard is just brown.
Well, I mean, I mainly left because the same reason everyone else left, because they shit themselves, you know, like dude, you're not going to stick around with shitty pants, you know, and
why
hang
not?
out.
Everyone else has shitty pants. It's a fucking shit party. You've never been to a diaper party before? Come on.
No, I don't know.
Basic college 101.
I've never even heard of that.
I don't even want to now. Let's not. But just like, I imagine being the parent walking back into the house, and it's just like literally a shit show, right? Like, it's just,
welcome to the shit show.
Can you imagine just a smell walking to the door?
You're like my roses.
Them never looked so good.
Maybe in a few days, but at the time,
all the fertilizer.
Like, there's just somebody leaned over the rail, just everywhere, all over the poor fucking plants. It's like, Martha, get the garden hose. It's the only way to fix this situation.
I know what I'm sending everyone for Christmas this year.
You're gonna spike their bottles of liquor?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, fuck that then. I ain't accepting shit from you, Chris.
I ain't taking nothing from you.
I'm just kidding. I would never do that. Nah.
Well, I'm usually the guy that's mass dosing people with random freaking things. So, like, one of the favorite Yellow Brick Road to Hell stories is I'll go to those AA meetings and take inky cap mushrooms, like dried inky cap mushrooms and put them in the coffee. So ink cap mushrooms make you like super allergic to alcohol. So if you've had any alcohol, it makes you like vomit uncontrollably for 24 hours. So
like syrup of Ipecac?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That kind of throw up?
Yeah,
I've experienced that.
Unexpectedly, just all of a sudden, blah, everywhere. Well, it's like you can see who cheated. So,
sure. Yeah. Liar, shame.
Who's lying about their sobriety chip? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, but yeah, that or like put it in the punch bowl, like at a college party or something like that. I've always been the guy to do that just because I thought it was hilarious. But I was, evil. But it's harmless. It's not going to kill anybody. But it certainly makes them very uncomfortable for a couple hours.
Yeah, I bet. I've never heard of that, though. The ink cap mushrooms?
Yes. It's just the ink cap, the same ones you can grow on a hay bale outside, that when they autolyze, they turn to that black ink that you can write with. It's just regular ink cap mushrooms. You can eat them. They actually taste really, really good. They're not harmful to you at all unless you've had alcohol in the last 48 hours. If you've had alcohol in the last 48 hours, they make you puke your guts out. And that's what's also in those, Alkanon or Alco Pure, the new alcoholic pill that people can take if they're alcoholics that makes them sick if they drink alcohol.
I've heard of those.
It's a new prescription. It's the same fucking shit that's in those new prescription is the extract from those mushrooms. So, yeah, it's fucking cool. You definitely don't want to serve those for dinner in pasta with wine. But but you can eat them. They're actually quite tasty. They're very good. But they definitely make you very, very allergic to alcohol for 48 hours.
Schedule your day appropriately.
Yeah. I mean, even a little bit of alcohol will will set them off. So like you can't even have like one beer afterwards. It makes your body just reject the alcohol violently. It's beautiful. So if anybody's ever thinking about putting some in a coffee maker, it's the earthiness of the mushroom is hidden exactly well by the coffee. You can't even tell. And it grinds up to a nice little black powder. So you just dump it into the coffee maker and nobody even knows. And coffee's already dark, so it's not like it's dyeing the coffee a dark color. So it's just perfect crime. Well, I mean, not crime. Perfect, what would be mass dosing of random people. It's not poison. It doesn't kill anybody.
I'm pretty sure that's still assault.
I'm sure it's
I would
probably.
think so.
Yeah,
I would hope so.
Yeah,
not just think so. I would hope so. If it
so
wasn't,
allegedly. But yeah, that's one of those fun things you can do with biology and chemistry that they don't teach you in school anymore. But yeah,
there's a lot of things
that took an awful weird turn right there.
No, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful turn. Are you kidding me?
It was a very nice rabbit hole of shit and fucking shit.
The mass shittening, that was great.
God, don't call it that.
What, the shittening?
For the love of God, don't call it that. The shittening. God.
Yeah. That's a shirt right there. A nice brown shirt.
It's like the quickening from the old Highlander, except the shittening.
Oh wait, no, I got it. It's a white shirt, but you know how they have the shark bite fucking shirts where it's got the red grains? Except now it's a shit stain, so it's all brown.
Somebody holding up like a brown carboy with like ethanol written on it, and like just like the shittening.
I like it.
Yes.
Oh my God.
My beard.
Y'all
we
are
can
too
fucking
much,
make
man.
this happen. All right, guys.
I swear to God, if you send me that shirt, I'll never wear it. I will never wear it, ever.
Because
you're going to frame it and put it on the wall.
Yeah.
That I might do. But I'm not going out in public with it.
Well, I mean, people are going to have to ask you stories like, what's the shittening?
Yeah, I don't want to tell. Well, I guess I already told.
Yeah, you already did.
I don't want to
You
tell
already
that
told
story.
the fucking world.
Yeah,
like the
I guess
world.
so. See what you guys
Well,
do.
one thing we do at the end
lower,
of our...
You lower my inhibitions.
That's right.
And your standards. Look where you're at.
And my standards.
Yeah,
For
right.
sure. 100%.
So one thing we do towards the end of our podcast is that we like to go around the group and give like a positive message to our listeners, right? And so traditionally we start with Deadpool. So Deadpool, go ahead. What do you have to say that's for our listeners out there?
All right, how about this? How about well, I don't know. How about just every time you feel like you're gonna fail, just keep trying because you can't fail forever. How about that?
Not bad.
Sisyphus says you can.
Murphy's Law.
Coughlin's Law states
failing upwards. Fail upwards at least. Fail upwards.
Right. There you go.
All right, Whitebeard, what do you got to say?
I guess my message would be to the beginners in cultivation. And my message would be that don't get overwhelmed. Don't try to make up your own thing as you go along initially. I think a lot of people end up getting frustrated and quitting simply because they either followed bad advice or they created their own bad advice by trying to make an amalgamation of a bunch of different texts together.
Exactly. Yeah.
My suggestion would be to find one that's tried and true and run it till the wheels fall off, and then try another one and run it tried and true till the wheels fall off. And maybe after you've tried a few different methods that were all successful, then you have a fairly good understanding of what you're doing and you can make up your own at that point. But I notice a lot of beginners try to take tidbits from here and there and put them together and make something that
make
doesn't
their
work.
own shit.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You're just not in the right phase to be doing that.
You got to start with paint by numbers before you go for full Monet, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that would be my message. Have patience and stick to the plan until you have a good understanding and a few good grows under your belts, and then play around. I think that'll cut out a lot of frustration and heartache over failed attempts.
I like it.
That's good. My message for today would be, if you feel like you're alone at any time, understand there's a whole bunch of other people out there that feel like they're alone as well. You can always go online, go on a Discord, go onto forums, and find people that have the same interests as you. Develop your hobbies and talk to them and become part of a community. You're never alone in this interconnected world. You might feel like you are, but you're just a few clicks away from finding somebody with the same likes as you.
No matter how fucked up they are.
No matter how fucked up they are. Look at Rule 32. Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you're going to find somebody. There's always a community out there for you. You're never alone. And that's just the nice thing I got to say today. We appreciate having you on, Whitebeard. You've been great and fantastic.
Awesome.
Hey, what's your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is the same as my Discord channel, which is WhiteBeard #1205.
Okay.
And it's the actual symbol hashtag. My Insta is also WhiteBeard #1205, but because Insta won't let me use the actual hashtag, it's written out hashtag. So
all right.
And on Reddit, I'm WhiteBeardMycology.
Oh, nice. Great. Fantastic. As always, guys, you can get a hold of us with the Discord. We are the FAFOCult Discord. The link will be in the description below. You can send us any sort of money or tips through Cash App at the $FAFOCult. You can send us money through Venmo at FAFOCult. And if you want to come on the show or you have something to say or you'd like to reach out and have a question answered by us, you can always get a hold of us from FAFOCult@gmail.com. If you do send us any sort of money or funds, we promise to not use it for anything good. It'll go to pure debauchery and keeping this podcast rolling. If you are looking for substrate or grain or anything else like mycology supplies related, you can get a hold of Deadpool through our Discord, and he will be happy to ship stuff to you that way. We love you guys, and thank you for coming on this fun ride. Bye-bye.
Great having you, Whitebeard. Later.
Hey, man, it was my pleasure. Great, thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course. So